Okay, this is chapter 5, homework number 1. Let's start with 5-6. So this goes off the problem we did in class. And the growth is going to multiply. The rabbit growth, let's assume it multiplies just like it did in class. And let's complete each of the following tables. Okay, so it says show your thinking or give a brief explanation. Now for the first table, we have at month 0, there's 4 rabbits. After 1 month, there's 12 rabbits. After 2 months, there's 36 rabbits. So what I notice is 4 times 3 is 12. And 12 times 3 is 36. So that shows my thinking. And then if I continue the trend of multiplying by 3, use a calculator, or you can do it in your head. That's going to be 108, and times 3, 324. Okay, for this next one, it's a little bit harder because it's multiplying, but multiplying by what? So 6 times what? And then you times by the same number. So let's try 3. 6 times 3 is 18, and 18 times 3 is 54. That doesn't match. Let's try times 2. 6 times 2 is 12, and 12 times 2 is 24, so that's a match. 24 times 2 is 48, 48 times 2 is 96. All right. 5-7. The equation of a line describes the relationship between the coordinates of the points on the line. So we're supposed to plot these 3 points and draw the line that passes through them. It's 3, -1, 3, 2, and 3, 4. Now we draw the line that passes through them. There's only one line that can pass through these 3 points. We're supposed to state the coordinates of 2 more points on the line. So let's say these 2 are also on the line. That's going to be 3, 0, and 3, 1. Here's 3, 0, here's 3, 1. All right, next we need to write an equation for the line. This is a vertical line. It crosses the x-axis at 3. And that's the equation. You can work on B and also C. For C, don't forget that the y-axis is this one. So choose any 3 points on the y-axis. And what is the equation? 5-13. I'll do A, I'll do D. All right, when you divide 2 numbers and they have the same base, all you need to do is subtract the exponents. Top minus the bottom. 723 minus 721 is 2. So this is just 5 to the power 2, or 5 squared. Let's look at D. This one's a little harder. All right, so what you can notice is there's a 10 on the top and there's a 10 on the bottom. So because the 10s have the same base, you subtract the exponents. 3 subtract -2. And let's not forget all of that is squared. So there's no more fraction anymore because I combine these 2 exponents. And 3 minus -2, that's the same as addition. 3 plus 2. All right, and we need to square this. And remember, when you square something, power to a power, you multiply the exponent. So this is going to get multiplied by 2, and this exponent is 1. That's going to get multiplied by 2. So 4 to the power 1, 1 times 2, it's going to be 2. We have a big times sign. 10 to the power 5, raised to the power 2, it's going to be 10 to the power 10. Okay, 4 squared is 16 times 10 to the power 10. And if you want to write your answer in scientific notation, there's a problem because this number is bigger than 10. So we need to move the decimal to the left one time. And that makes the answer 1.6 times 10 to the power 11. 5-14. Jackie and Alexa were working on this solution here, and someone made a mistake. It says that Jackie got 5, but Alexa disagrees. Let's check her work. X plus 4 squared minus 2x minus 5 equals x minus 1 squared. So to solve these, you need to use FOIL, of course. Don't forget that x plus 4 squared is equal to x plus 4 times x plus 4. So that's going to be, you can also draw the box. X times x is x squared, x times 4, 4x, 4 times x, 4x, 4 times 4, 16. Then you need to combine like terms to get x squared plus 8x plus 16. Now if you notice, she turned this into x squared plus 16. So Jackie forgot the 4x. So let's rewrite it correctly for her. We start with x plus 4 squared minus 2x minus 5 equals x minus 1 squared. So this thing becomes x squared plus 8x plus 16 minus 2x minus 5 equals. To find out what x minus 1 squared becomes, we need to go through the same process. X minus 1 times x minus 1. When you square a number, you multiply it by itself. And then you can draw the box or use FOIL. X times x is x squared. X times negative 1 is negative x. Negative 1 times x is negative x. And negative 1 times negative 1 is plus 1. Combine like terms, and we get x squared minus 2x plus 1. So this thing becomes x squared minus 2x plus 1. So you can see she also forgot the minus 2x. There should be a minus 2x right here, and then there should have been a plus 4x right here. Okay, so we have this giant equation. Let's go ahead and combine like terms. So on the right-hand side, all the like terms have been combined, but on the left-hand side, we've got an 8x and a minus 2x. So that's going to be x squared plus 6x. And then we have a plus 16 and a minus 5. That's plus 11. All right, now I've got an x squared on each side. Let me try subtracting x squared from each side. Those are going to cancel. And I have 6x plus 11 equals negative 2x plus 1. So I think I've done enough. Solve the equation from here. What is x? X equals whatever. Okay, 15. Write the equation of a line. Maybe I'll do one, and I'll start the other one. Part A. A line with a slope of negative 2 and a y-intercept of 0, 7. So the slope of negative 2, that tells you that, we're writing the equation of a line, y equals mx plus b, and m is equal to negative 2. M is the slope. The y-intercept, or the starting value, is 7, so that tells you that b is 7. Right away, you can write your equation. That's going to be y equals negative 2x plus 7. Now let's start C. I want to have a line perpendicular to the line in part B. So that means I need to take the slope from part B, and I need to do two things. Number one, make it positive, and number two, turn it upside down. So I'm going to write my equation, y equals mx plus b, and m is equal to 2 over 3. So y is equal to 2 over 3x plus b. We're going to leave b for now. We're going to leave it alone. Okay, that's where this guy comes in. 4, 0. So this point is the x-intercept. The y-intercept is the starting value, but the x-intercept is different. So the x-coordinate is 4 and the y-coordinate is 0. So that means, let me transfer these into my equation. When y is 0, equal sign, 2 over 3, x should be 4. So you basically plug in 4 for x and 0 for y. Okay, then you can put the 4 over 1, and you multiply straight across, because it's a fraction. 2 times 4 is 8, and on the bottom, 3 times 1 is 3. Okay, take away 8 over 3 from each side, and 0 minus 8 thirds is negative 8 thirds. That's the slope. That's the y-intercept. You can write the equation and do b. 5-22. All right, solve each equation. I'll do b. Looks a little harder, and you can work on a. I'm going to solve this by rewriting. First, I'm going to distribute the 2. 2 times x is 2x plus 2 times 1 is 2. So that became 2x plus 2, and then there's a plus 3 still. There's an equal sign still. And then I'm going to distribute the 3 over here. So let's see what this becomes. 3 times x is 3x minus sign 3 times 1. All right, I'm going to combine like terms. And what I mean by that is I have 2 plus 3 on the left-hand side. Now I choose the smaller x and subtract it. So 2x is the smallest. Subtract 2x from each side. 2x minus 2x, that's a 0 pair, that cancels. And 5 is equal to 1x minus 3. Actually, I'll just write x. Now you add 3 to both sides to get x all alone. X equals 8. Try A. 5-37. Write an equation. To write an equation, you need 2 things. You need the slope, and you need the starting value. So let's start with the slope. I'm going to choose this point right here. Don't forget that f of x is a fancy way to say y. So we've got 3, 4. And I'm going to skip the point with the negatives. I don't like dealing with those, so I'll choose this one. 5, 10. Okay, to calculate the slope, that's going to be delta y over delta x. So delta y is the difference between these two, 10 minus 4. And since I went from right to left, that means for the x's, I also had to go right to left. So we've got 10 minus 4 on the top, and then when you subtract the x's, it's 5 minus 3 on the bottom. So 10 minus 4 is 6, over 5 minus 3 is 2, answer 3. We've got our slope. Now, to write your equation, it's y equals mx plus b. I plugged in 3 for m, the slope. So now what you need to do is choose one of these points, plug in the y-coordinate and the x-coordinate, solve for b, write the equation. I'll let you do that. 548. For a line passing through these points, calculate the slope, write the equation. Slope. These points are written in the form x, y, x, y. And we need to subtract the y's and also subtract the x's. Slope is delta y over delta x. So let's subtract those y's. Negative 11 minus 1 divided by 2 subtract negative 2. 2 subtract negative 2. Be careful because on the bottom of this, that becomes a plus sign. So negative 11 subtract 1 is negative 12. and then 2 minus negative 2, that's 2 plus 2. Or in other words, that's 4. So 4 goes into 12 3 times, and then negative divided by positive is negative. So the slope is negative 3. And just like the last one, you plug in negative 3 for m. So it's y equals negative 3x plus b. And then you choose one of these points. I'm going to pick that one because the numbers are smaller. Let's take the y coordinate, which is 1. And this is 1 equals negative 3 times the x coordinate, which is negative 2. Plus b. Leave b alone. Leave b. So we have negative 3 times negative 2. That's going to be 1 equals 6 plus b. And I'll let you solve it. Write your answer in y equals form. Write the equation. All right. Let's determine whether 447 is a term of the sequence. So the way you do this is you take 447 and then you set the equation equal to that number. So what we do here is, and then solve for n. Add 3 to both sides, so it's 5n equals 450. And then divide both sides by 5. And 450 divided by 5, it's going to be 90, I think. Yeah. So, yes, and it's the 90th term. In function notation, that's T90. All right, try B. Same kind of situation. Let's do D and E. So for D, set the equation, or the explicit equation, equal to 447, and then solve for n. All right, now I need to isolate n. There's a couple ways you can do this. I'm going to take away 14 from both sides, leaving negative 3n. That negative stays. And then 447 minus 14, that's going to be 433. All right, and then to make n alone, I need to get rid of the 3, but also the negative sign too. So I'll divide both sides by negative 3. That'll cancel, leaving n, and n is equal to negative 144.3. The answer is no. Remember, you can't have a decimal. It can only be a whole number because we're doing it with sequences. In sequences, you only have whole numbers. All right. So part E, same deal. So this one actually needs to be simplified first. So set it equal to 447, and then you simplify it. That's negative 8. Distribute the negative 7. So that's negative 7n. And then negative 7 times negative 1 is actually plus 7. So don't miss that plus sign. Then we combine like terms. We have negative 8 and positive 7 on the same side of the equation. So that's going to be negative 7n subtract 1. Because 7 minus 7 is 0, so 7 minus 8 is negative 1. That's where I got that number from. And then you want to add 1 to both sides. I get negative 7n equals 448. And then what you do is to get n all by itself, n is equal to 448 divided by negative 7. Answer, negative 64. All right, and sadly, this is also a no. And the reason is a sequence can only take in positive whole numbers. Remember, we're sequence, so if it's a positive whole number, then the answer is yes. But if it's not a whole number, or if it's not positive, then it's always no. You can't have a negative 64th term of a sequence. You can only have the first term, second term, third term, 90th term, and so on. So that one's a little tricky. This one is a little less tricky. So let's go 568. Let's do 2 of these, starting with A. Determine the common difference. Okay, so remember the trick here is to take the second term, which is 7, and subtract the first term, which is 4. 7 minus 4 is 3. The common difference is 3. Now that might be easy because you can just realize right away that 4 plus 3 is 7. 7 plus 3 is 10. 10 plus 3 is 13. So that's another way to get the 3. Just look at the pattern. All right. Then write an equation for the nth term. So we have our common difference. Now we're going to use our sequence equation. F of n is equal to dx plus b. So we have f of n is equal to 3x plus b. And this guy b, this is known as the 0th term. So like this is the first number, second number, third number, fourth number. So what if we went back in time? What number would be like the 0th term in the list? It'd be 1, right? Since we're adding by 3. Then, if this were 1, the pattern would continue. And I'm sorry, I use x, that's a typo. Since we're dealing with sequences, you should use n. It's the same thing as x, it's just a letter, but n says to the world like, hey, I'm talking about a sequence here. All right, let's do c because it's decreasing. Okay, how much is this sequence going down by? 24 minus 5, right? 24 minus 5 is 19, and 19 minus 5 is 14. Another way to get that number, minus 5, is to take the second term and subtract the first term, 19 minus 24. And that's equal to negative 5. So we write our sequence, f of n equals negative 5n plus b. Now we need to find the 0th term. So this is the first term, second term, third term, fourth term, and so on. But what would the 0th term be if we went back in time? What number would be here so the pattern would continue? The pattern being minus 5. If you said 29, you are right. 29 minus 5 is 24. So the 0th term is kind of like the y-intercept, or the starting value. 77. Avery and Colin were trying to challenge each other with equations for sequences. Here's the explicit equation that Colin wrote. Write the first 4 terms for the sequence. So to find the first term, plug in 1. T of 1 equals 4.5 times 1, subtract 8. 4.5 times 1, any number times 1 is just itself. So this is 4.5 minus 8. And I suggest using a calculator. That's negative 3.5. T2 equals 4.5 times 2 minus 8. So you just plug in 2 for n. 4.5 times 2, again, use a calculator. That's going to be 9. Subtract 8, so that's 1. And then you find T of 3, which is 4.5 times 3, subtract 8. 13.5 minus 8, that's going to be 5.5. Don't forget to find T of 4. So that's going to be negative 3.5, 1, 5.5, and don't forget to write that last term. What would Avery do to write the 15th term? Well, to get the first term, you plug in 1. To get the second term, you plug in 2. To get the 15th term, you plug in 15 to T of n. It doesn't actually say to find it, it just says what to do. So that's what you do. All right, I'll show you how to do this one because we need more practice with this. How do we write a recursive equation? Well, let's look at our list, our sequence. Make sure you find the 4th number. Okay, so to go from the first term to the second term, you add 4.5, right? And that makes sense because that is the common difference. 1 plus 4.5 gets you 5.5. So basically, to get the next term, it's equal to what you have now. Like to get the next term here, it's what you have right now plus 4.5. Okay, so the next term is equal to the now term plus 4.5. So the way we write the now term is just like the other ones, it's t of n. So it's whatever number you plug in for n. That's the now term. You're going to add 4.5 to that. Okay, and then what that's equal to is the next term. The next term, the way you write that is t of n plus 1 in parentheses. So this is actually the recursive formula. And for example, if n equals 3, let's plug in 3. So this is t of 3 plus 1 equals t of 3 plus 4.5. Okay, so 3 plus 1 is 4. So this is basically saying the fourth term, t of 4, is equal to the third term plus 4.5. Which makes sense, right? To get to the fourth term, you take the third term and then you add 4.5 to it. So that's all it's saying. There's the answer, recursive. All right, 5-78, write both an explicit and a recursive. Find the common difference. I still kind of like the shortcut where you take the second term, 8, and you subtract the first term, which is 5. So the common difference is 3. And then this is the first term, second term, third term, fourth term, fifth term. The 0 term for this pattern to keep continuing the way it is continuing, it would have to be 2. 2 plus 3 is 5, 5 plus 3 is 8, 8 plus 3 is 11, and so on. So the starting value is 2. Okay. Explicit equation, which is basically just y equals mx plus b, but fancier looking. So instead of y, we write f of n, and then we have our equal sign, and then our common difference, that's what we call slope now. We're using n instead of x, and then we add our starting value. To get the recursive equation, here's where you start. Let's think about the next term. To get the sixth term in the list, we take the now term, and what do we add to it? Well, for the sixth term, we take the now term, which is 5, fifth term, and we add 3 to it. So to the fifth term, which is 17, actually not 5, sorry. So we take 17 and add 3. So the next term, which is, oh, we wrote f here. So let's keep using f. It's going to be f of n plus 1 equals the now term. It's f of n plus 3. 79. Let's compute the following products. I'll do B, you can do A, but make sure, again, you do both on your homework. I'm just going to help you out with B. Okay, when you square, a really common mistake is to write 16x squared plus 25, but that's wrong. So when you square a binomial, something with 2 terms, when you square that, you have to write it twice. Once you write it twice, then you can see, oh yeah, you got to draw the box. Or use FOIL. I kind of like FOIL, so that's the method I'm going to use. But drawing the box also works. So step 1, rewrite it. Write it twice, then multiply. 4x times 4x is 16x squared. 4x times 5 is plus 20x. 5 times 4x, that's plus 20x. And then 5 times 5 is 25. Combine like terms, 20x plus 20x is 40x. So there's your answer. 5-80. Lana got a stamp collection. This has a leather book and 120 stamps. So as you can see, this is kind of like the starting value. Month 0, she has 120 stamps. Lana joined a stamp club, which sends her 12 stamps every month, and this holds a maximum of 500 stamps. Let's complete the table at the right. So you can see they already added 12 for the first month, but next month she'll get 12 more, and she'll have 144. The month after that, she'll get 12 more, and she'll go up to 156, plus 12, plus 12, plus 12. So basically it's a sequence, and the common difference is 12. How many stamps a year from now? Well, a year is month 12. Let's write an equation. We'll make that question easier to answer. So part C asks you to write an equation. Now I hope you can see the common difference is 12. That's what you're adding to get to the next term. But what about the starting value, or 0th term? $120, right? 120 stamps. So now we're going to use y equals mx plus b, which remember for sequences, we replace y with f of n. M is now called the common difference. We're using n instead of x, and then we'll keep b the same. Oh, and it says, let the total be represented by t of n. T of n. So t of n equals 12n plus 120. Okay, so now let's find month 12, which is kind of like the 12th term. T of 12. That's going to be 12 times 12 plus 120. And you got to know those times tables. Use a calculator if you don't. That's 144 plus 120. And that's going to be 264. Okay, D. Solve for n, and when Tn equals 500. So basically you take the equation and set it equal to 500. Will this woman, Lona, be able to fill her book? How do you know? When will the book be filled? Solve for n. Remember, n is in months. 590. All right, let's multiply. Solving for a. When you multiply two terms, those big numbers in front, multiply 2 times 4. And then when you multiply the m's together, the exponents are going to add. 2 times 4 is 8, m to the power 5. And let's do C. C. So let's break this into 2 different parts. That'll make it easier to solve. So we have negative 4 6 times y squared over y seventh. All right, so for 4 6, both of these are even. So I know that 2 goes into 4 2 times, and 2 goes into 6 3 times. So this is negative 2 over 3 times y to the power 2 subtract 7 is negative 5. So this is negative 2 y to the power negative 5 over 3. So the final answer is, we're just moving y, leave the 2, 2 stays on top, negative 2 over 3y to the power 5. Negative 2 has an exponent of 1. It's a positive exponent, so negative 2 stays put. All right, we have a few more to go. This is 591. I'm going to solve a couple of these, and you can do the other 2. So we need to write an equation. B. So let's find the slope. M equals x comma y, x comma y. So the slope is delta y over delta x. And the change in y is 5 minus negative 4 divided by negative 2 minus 1. When you subtract a negative number, it's the same as adding. So that's going to be 5 plus 4 over negative 3. 9 over negative 3. 3 goes into 9 3 times. And don't forget that a positive divided by negative stays negative. Okay, we still need our starting value, but we'll get that in the equation. Remember, this isn't sequences, this is like normal equation. So let's use y equals mx plus b. Now you choose your favorite point. I'm going to choose this one, and let's plug in x for 1 and y for -4. So this is -4 for y equals -3 times x, which in this case is just 1, and then add b. So that's -4 equals, anything times 1 is itself, so this is just -3 plus b. Add 3 to both sides. -4 plus 3 is -1. So that's our slope, that's our starting value. Y equals -3x minus 1. Okay, I'm also going to do D, find the equation of a line. Zoom in on this one. So to get the equation, the best thing you can do is draw a slope triangle. So you can see right away this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. The starting value, B, is 9. So the only thing we need is a slope, and then we can plug everything into y equals mx plus b. So to get the slope, you want to choose a lattice point. There's a good one. Oops, I'm sorry. That's actually the lattice point. It's kind of hard to tell on this one. So those are all good picks. You only need to pick 2 though. So I'm going to pick these first 2 and draw my slope triangle. Be careful because look how the x-axis is going by every other one. So like the length here is 1, 2. It looks like 4, but it's actually just 2 because of the scale on the x-axis. And then going up the y-axis, we're going from 9 to 14. So that's a distance of 5. That's 2, 14, and then this one was 0, 9. So that means our m, which is rise over run, is 5/2. Answer, y equals 5/2 x plus 9. 5-104. Write the equation of a line parallel to this one, passing through the point given. Okay, parallel means same slope. So we take this slope, -1/3, and then we keep it the same. This is our point. It has an x-coordinate and a y-coordinate, so let's plug everything into y equals mx plus b. Okay, y is -1, equal sign, m is our slope, -1/3, times x. And x in this case is 9, plus sign b. Alright, multiplying a fraction times a number, put the number over 1, multiply straight across. This is -1 equals -9/3 plus b. And 3 goes into 9 3 times, so this is -1 equals -3 plus b. Add 3 to both sides. B is equal to -1 plus 3. Last one. I'm going to do B. I suggest you solve A in the same way. So let's not use a traditional method to solve this. Let's use the looking inside method. It makes it way easier. Okay. So what number plus 4 equals 9? 5. That's easy. So how can we get square root of x to become 5? Like, how can we get square root of x to just be equal to 5? Well, how about if x were 25? The square root of 25 is equal to 5, right? Yeah. So if x were 25, let's test this. Let's check. The square root of 25 plus 4. What's that? Well, the square root of 25 is 5. So 5 plus 4 is 9. And that's the answer. If x is 25, then we get 9. So use the same method on this one. 8 minus what is 3? 5, right? 8 minus 5. So how can you get this to become equal to 5?